Hello to the Plumeria subreddit. I wanted to make a video to sort of illustrate some Plumeria growing successes and failures that I've ever had over the past year. First and foremost, I live in San Diego, so it's a pretty ideal growing situation. I've got a collection of Plumerias that I've been growing over the past 3 years. They were mostly in pots and not having much success. Last year, I was able to move houses and get a place with a garden and start getting more of my Plumeria into the ground. I believe that if you have the opportunity, it's always best to grow in the ground as opposed to pots, but pots can also be wildly successful. So I'm going to show everyone a few Plumeria I've got going. They're at various stages right now. There's my cat, Thunder. She likes to garden with me. But I've got a few success stories, a couple of failures. So first success story, we're going to start with, oddly enough, the one in the pot. So I repotted this into a bigger pot the other year. It's already got an inflow going, leaves coming in. Now that the flowers are coming and the leaves are growing, I'm starting to water it more often, probably every other day, giving it a little soak, just letting it do its thing. This is the first time this one will have bloomed. So that's success story number one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna inspect all my Plumeria, looking for any rot. This guy is feeling nice and firm. It's healthy. Maybe take the weeds out. Now, let's go to a failure. This Plumeria here, unfortunately, has developed rot. I have not watered it very often, but the reason for the rot is because when I put it in the ground last year, this area had lots of sun. And I discovered over the course of the winter and early spring, it just never got any sun. It's got shade from all directions, and it's just now starting to get sun for like maybe a couple hours a day. Also, I didn't really prep the soil properly when I put it in. I just used what was in this bed. The bed is generally in good shape, but this corner doesn't drain well. I should have put some cactus mix and other good draining soil in. So what happened, despite the fact that I wasn't watering it, I did end up getting rot. So I cut this branch off a couple of days ago. Kept wanting to give it time to see if it would rebound because I hadn't been watering it at all. And the answer was no. The sad part about that is this was the only other plant in my garden that had an inflow. This is the top from it. You can see the inflow there. I might be able to get this guy started if I really wanted to, but I've got 7 Plumeria in my garden, so not really necessary. So it's trash. And what I'm doing now, you can see my cut. What I'm doing now is I'm gonna see how the other branches are doing. You can see I've got leaves that were coming in, but as I feel down this branch, that's just way too soft. It's not firming up at all. So what I'm gonna do, just take my shears, I'm gonna give it a cut. You can see how dark and bad that is. Honestly, this Plumeria is probably a goner at this point. I could cut it here if I really wanted to. Actually, you know what? Let's do that and see what it looks like. All right. This is more of a learning experience. Yeah, see, rot. So, despite the fact that he feels pretty firm here, actually now I can feel a little bit of the rot. He's just a goner. You can see the roots had been developing, but not really that strong. There's a few more roots in the ground, but yeah, that one's a goner. Oh well. So let's move to some more successes. This is a bigger Plumeria that I moved last year. I actually had a couple of inflows on it. I lost the inflows when I moved houses. Tried to shove it into my car and lost them. But you can see the leaves coming in. This Plumeria's got nice branching. I've had it for several years now. I bought it at the Southern Plumeria Southern California Plumeria Society show in Balboa Park a couple of years back. No inflows yet, but give it a little bit of time. Leaves coming in nice and healthy. Checking it for aphids. I found a couple this morning, picked them off. Gotta get some ladybugs. So that, I mentioned I broke off one of the branches, and when I first moved into this new house, I just stuck that branch into this raised bed here randomly. Didn't do anything to prep it. Just stuck it in the ground. No rooting hormone, no soil amendments. And look at this little guy. It's the only one with leaves right now. Literally just like a 4-inch nub that I just stuck in the ground. So if you break off a branch, you got the right growing conditions, they're highly resilient plants. And then just a couple more to show where we're at in the growing season here in Southern California. This one is my one that actually bloomed last year, and it is still unfurling its leaves. I think because it was in the shade for so long. If you notice here, my soil is kind of wet. I'm gonna turn this hose off, the sprinkler off, and let this guy dry out just a little bit. I don't want to risk, because it's just now starting to get sun, it was in too much shade. I don't want to risk rot like we had with that other one. This guy also healthy. The leaves are just now starting to come in a bit. Healthy looking. Yeah, so this little black one here, this was a growth from last year. I'm just gonna nick it off. You can leave it, you can nick it off, but doesn't harm the plant. That's just old stuff from last year. The red ones, that's the good stuff. That's the new leaves coming in. And I've got one more tiny one. Just right here. This was a random cutting I took from a tree. Ask property owner. It was I can't remember, it was a unique color, one I hadn't really seen before. I asked if I could take cutting. She said yes. So we'll see if it does anything this year. Again, my soil is too wet right now. It's been cloudy most of this week in San Diego. We had a little sprinkles and things just aren't drying out. So you got to watch that and be careful. But yeah, hopefully it'll do something this year. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this answers some random questions that people may have about Plumeria. Some of the big mature trees in my neighborhood, like my neighbors across the street, they already got their leaves starting to pop out. Other big mature trees still look like this. So it really comes down to your variety. Have some patience with your Plumeria and you'll ultimately be rewarded. Thanks for watching.